All right, so our next stage of training, what we're going to do is we're going to be transitioning from our silhouette targets to our full-blown mannequins. And this is where we emphasize some of the greatest strengths of this training environment is that we don't shoot paper targets. And the reason is because you don't, the old saying of train as you fight is used frequently in the firearms community. However, the hypocrisy of the firearms training community is that they don't ever train as they fight. For example, they train on one directional ranges, but yet expect you to carry a gun in a 360-degree environment. Then they train you against paper targets, which are two-dimensional. Light reflects off of paper, not off of clothing. And then they expect you to create some level of armed judgment or tactical decision-making off paper, but then translate that into a 3D environment, which we will show out here. It does not translate. So once again, train as you fight, as though it's preached in the firearms training community, is hypocrisy because they don't do that. So what we've done is we've created these 3D mannequins that can be engaged on the side. They can be engaged in the back. All of this is safe, and definitely into the front, in which we actually catch the bullet in the chest, which is why you don't see any holes in the back of the target. And this is probably one of the only green ranges in the United States, because then we can recycle the actual bullet or the lead that we catch. So when we start talking about armed judgment and the difference between paper targets and mannequins, we got to understand the psychology of how humans relate to paper versus each other. And very simply is that when you see a bullseye on a target or a paper target, you're looking for a marksmanship shot. But anytime we address human beings, we always look into the eyes. And so when we create something that is almost lifelike, it's very typical for trainees to want to look into the eyes of the mannequins instead of looking into the hands. And so this is one situation where we can talk about armed judgment and tactical decision making, is that we can put cell phones in the hand or firearms in the hand. And that when you turn around and the mannequin presents itself to you, you have to make that armed decision on whether to shoot or not to shoot. And this is the difference between a literal threat and a legal threat. Something that is not preached or talked about in the firearms training industry. And this is one of the biggest differentiators in ATAC training from 99.9% of the firearms training that is offered to civilians. Okay? So.